Taiwan Vice President makes historic visit to Japan. U.S. considers arms sales to Saudis. WeChat is China's most feared surveillance tool. Pentagon wages secret proxy wars. Earth's population to hit 8 billion by November. U.S. doctors must give emergency abortions. Lockdowns in parts of Shanghai. NASA's farthest infrared image of the universe.
Hello, I'm Peggy. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It is Wednesday, July 13th, and here are your top stories. Taiwan's official central news agency reported that Taiwan's Vice President Lai Ching-te visited Tokyo on Monday, July 11th to pay respects to former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. CNA said Lai was the most senior official to visit Japan since Tokyo broke official ties with Taipei in 1972 and forged relations with Beijing. A senior lawmaker from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party said that Lai visited Abe's residence in Tokyo to offer condolences and is scheduled to attend his funeral on Tuesday.
Reuters reported that a Japanese foreign ministry official said that ministry officials were aware that Lai was in Japan on a private visit to pay his respects to Abe. The official said, "We know this person is probably still in Japan, but on a private visit to pay respects as Abe's friend." Earlier on Monday, Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen offered her condolences in a visit to Japan's de facto embassy in Taipei and said that she will continue Abe's legacy of closer Taiwan-Japan relations. She has ordered Taiwan's flags to be lowered to half-mast through Monday to honor Abe.
Reuters reported that the Biden administration is discussing the possible lifting of its ban on U.S. sales of offensive weapons to Saudi Arabia. But any final decision is expected to hinge on whether Riyadh makes progress toward ending the war in neighboring Yemen. The outlet said that as Biden prepares for a diplomatically sensitive trip, he has signaled that he is looking to reset strained relations with Saudi Arabia at a time when he wants increased Gulf oil supplies, along with closer Arab security ties with Israel to counter Iran.
Reuters reported that Saudi Arabia is the biggest U.S. arms customer. But during Saudi Arabia's campaign against the Houthis in Yemen, Biden declared a halt to U.S. support for offensive operations in Yemen, including relevant arms sales in February 2021. Now, Biden's approach has softened since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which has prompted the United States and other Western countries to court Saudi Arabia, the world's top oil exporter, to pump more oil to offset the loss of Russian supplies.
Bloomberg reported that after WeChat made its debut in January 2011, it now dominates almost every facet of a person's daily online existence in China, from banking, social media, gaming, music, shopping, and even dating. But on the night of Friday, April 22nd, WeChat fed a cascade of images and text carrying the raw emotion from people under lockdown in Shanghai. There's no evidence that WeChat parent company Tencent supported the online demonstration, but the Chinese government ordered Tencent to overhaul its financial enterprises.
Bloomberg reported that so far, Ma Huateng, the founder of Tencent, has avoided a fate that has befallen many of his peers. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba Group, relinquished his corporate duties in 2019 and has essentially gone into hiding. He was joined by the heads of Pinduoduo and JD.com, the two biggest online shopping companies in China after Alibaba. The chief executive officers of TikTok's parent company and its main rival each stepped down last year. Ma faced the choice: revamp his business and himself in the image of Xi's new China, or risk losing everything.
The Intercept reported that between 2017 and 2020, the U.S. Pentagon used the secretive 127E authority to conduct at least 23 separate 127E programs across the world. The media said that through the 127E, the U.S. armed, trained, and provided intelligence to foreign forces. But unlike traditional foreign assistance programs, which are primarily intended to build local capacity, 127E partners are then dispatched on U.S.-directed missions targeting U.S. enemies to achieve U.S. aims.
The Intercept said that the 127E is known in military parlance as 127 Echo. Retired generals close to the 127E program said that it is extremely effective in targeting militant groups while reducing risk to U.S. forces. The media said that in April, top U.S. Special Operations officials unveiled a new vision and strategy framework that appears to endorse continued reliance on the 127E concept by leveraging burden-sharing partnerships to achieve objectives within an acceptable level of risk.
According to the latest demographic data from the United Nations released on July 11th for World Population Day, 8 billion humans will inhabit the planet as of November 15th. The UN suggests that the global population could grow to around 8.5 billion in 2030, 9.7 billion in 2050, and 10.4 billion in 2100. But the UN report said that in 2020, the global growth rate fell under 1% per year for the first time since 1950. The world's population is projected to reach a peak of around 10.4 billion people during the 2080s and to remain at that level until 2100.
It also found that the world's population is growing older because of increasing life expectancy and falling fertility rates.
The UN report said that this would imply that the population would reach its maximum plateau sooner than expected. In its last report, published 3 years ago, the UN foresaw demographic stabilization only in the 22nd century. A UN expert stressed that this scenario can be attributed mainly to the fact that each woman is giving birth to fewer and fewer children. The current fertility rate of 2.3 could fall to 1.8 in 2100, marking the end of generation renewal.
The AP reported that on Monday, July 11th, the Biden administration told hospitals that they must provide abortion services if the life of a pregnant woman is at risk. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services said that federal law on emergency treatment guidelines preempts state laws and jurisdiction that now ban the procedure without any exceptions following the Supreme Court's decision to end the constitutional right to abortion. The Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act now preempts state laws.
I think this is a really difficult situation because it's something that we haven't encountered before and we don't have a lot of experience, and there's just a lot of unknowns.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services said that emergency conditions include ectopic pregnancy, complications of pregnancy loss, or emergent hypertensive disorders such as preeclampsia with severe features. The agency's guideline states, if a physician believes that a pregnant patient presenting at an emergency department is experiencing an emergency medical condition as defined by the ETML Act, and that abortion is the stabilizing treatment necessary to resolve that condition, the physician must provide that treatment.
Bloomberg reported that while tension is spreading through Shanghai as residents watch COVID-19 caseload tick higher, lockdown reality has already hit some parts of Shanghai. District authorities are sealing off buildings when cases where close contacts of someone who tests positive are detected. An apartment block in eastern Shanghai was notified by authorities on the evening of July 10th that it was going to be locked down after one resident tested positive during a business trip outside the city.
In the northwestern city of Xi'an, almost 1,300 kilometers northwest of Shanghai, entertainment venues and dining restaurants have also been shut.
The media reported that according to one of the residents, the order sparked an outcry with people saying that it would disrupt students preparing to take high school entrance exams. People also questioned the logic of locking down the entire compound, pointing out that the positive case had been out of the residential complex since July 8th, and that the compound's residents had all tested negative for 2 days. A housing complex in central Shanghai that's home to more than 4,000 people has been locked down since July 7th after one case was found.
NASA's James Webb Space Telescope has produced the farthest and sharpest infrared image of the universe to date. It is known as Webb's first deep field image of galaxy cluster SMACS 0723. U.S. President Joe Biden unveiled this image of galaxy cluster SMACS 0723 during a White House event on Monday, July 11th. NASA said that thousands of galaxies, including the faintest objects ever observed in the infrared spectrum, have appeared in Webb's view for the first time.
This one image, and the countless others to come, has been the result of more than 2 decades of focused efforts by some of the world's greatest scientists and engineers. From concept to construction and testing, from launch to deployment and commissioning in the frigid depths of space.
According to NASA, this deep field taken by Webb's near-infrared camera is a composite made from images at different wavelengths, totaling 12.5 hours of exposure. The image shows the galaxy cluster SMACS 0723 as it appeared 4.6 billion years ago. Researchers will soon begin to learn more about the cluster's mass, age, history, and composition, as Webb seeks the earliest galaxies in the universe. The full series of images will be released on Tuesday, July 12th, beginning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time during a live NASA TV broadcast.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. Let's make every day a fun day. I'm Peggy, your host. I'll see you next time.